I have hit a conclusion here.
What do you got?
It's time to alter the expectation. If they haven't already, yes, it is. 30 games is enough. This isn't a 5-game slump, 10-game. As of now, they're a
middle of the pack,
borderline playoff team. That's all they are
Really?
until they prove otherwise. I mean, the stats would indicate that, but their play would indicate that as well. I came into the season like many people. I thought they were an elite team. I thought it's not like I was preaching this back in July and August and I was ahead of the curve. I thought they would be a legit top 7 or 8 team. At no point this season have they proven that. And it's 30 games. Last night they played fine, but I didn't see a killer instinct. I didn't see we're winning tonight. Like it's happening. They played a good game.
Yeah,
but they lost the game. Just like in Philly, just like in Buffalo last Friday. There's been too many of them. And until these guys, like they're in St. Louis on Saturday, I have no expectation that they win that game.
I don't know. I thought at the beginning of the season going into that game, it might be a preview of big things to come. Not even close.
Nope. So it's on them to prove otherwise.
They got their coach. They got everybody healthy. They can't say that it's new bodies and they're getting used to each other. Blah, blah, blah. They got everything they wanted, and it's like little kids. Sometimes you can give them everything you want to shut them up, and they can still look back and give you the bird and say, you know what, I'm still going to be a pain in the ass. It's getting more disappointing by the game. I like, give them time. It's like, okay, you got your coach, and you get to do your funny spinorama drills in practice and all your coaches. Okay, start playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what was the...
I don't care, Mitch Marner, you come back, you were injured, but they're all together now. Like, I'm worried about this road trip, to be honest with you.
Oh, worried?
Yeah, and if they butcher this road trip, it's pretty much, they're not making the playoffs.
Well,
Like, if they drop every game or one of, like, I don't know. They're starting to piss me off.
Well, I know, you get frustrated, but there is still 52 games left for them. So there is lots of runway left.
Hey, Minnesota got it back on track. Dallas got it back on track. They can do it, but it's just...
Well, I transitioned right from the game into the Edmonton game, so I didn't hear the audio coming out. Was everyone, hey, we had the effort, the goalie stole it? Like, what was any
NHL.
I know. What was the narrative, though, coming out of that room last night? Now they're 4-3 under Keefe, correct?
Right. All of a sudden, we can't keep playing. Look at what they're doing here under Keefe. It's the same team.
Same team. So I missed the narrative because I transitioned right into the Oiler game. But
it was effectively, we played well, unlucky bounce. It happens sometimes, which is true. I mean, the Spezza, Riley.
Yeah, stop it with Spezza, people. It was a stupid tangled up mistake. It's like
I saw
like,
people.
Oh, did you see Jason Spezza? Yeah, it's the NHL. Sometimes you get tangled up with a guy. It was a dumb.
Yeah, and it was a crushing mistake. It happened, but it does happen.
But you still had plenty of time to come back and tie the game at that point.
How about be up 4-1 at that point?
Sure.
Stop putting yourself in a position like the morning show had a great stat earlier today where I believe it was actually Corey Landsberg that dug this up, and Koliakovo was tweeting about it, and they were talking about it on the morning show. 7 times this season, the Maple Leafs have been tied in the third period and failed to even get to overtime. So
that's not right.
That's terrible, is what it is.
That's not good.
That's a problem because the as much as I may not like it, you may not like it, the game has changed in terms of a mentality in a third period. A lot of teams play to get to overtime. Loser points.
You get the point.
You've got to get a loser point. Ideally, if you're an elite team, you say, forget that, I'm going to win it in regulation and roll home with 2 points. But 7 times, they played 30 games. 7 of them, they have been tied in the third period, including last night, including in Philly on Tuesday.
Yeah.
There have been countless opportunities here all year where all they got to do is grind and get themselves a point and they're in a better position. And I think it speaks to a lot of these kids, the young guys who are the core of the team. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Kapanen, Janssen.
Yeah.
They haven't been through losing at any point. And I'm fearful that they're not sure how to get themselves out of it. Or they don't even know what it really feels like or looks like. Like Kadri, Gardner, those guys knew what losing looked like.
Yeah, Morgan.
And Morgan's still here. But there was a group, Bozak, there was a group
Phil,
like the
Dion,
Kadri, those guys that were through it all, had seen it here, and they're like, okay, we know how.
Yeah, hold on a second.
What that feels like.
We went off the cliff on the 18-wheeler.
What it looks like, exactly. Like we keep hearing, well, no, the desperation's high. I don't know if it really is, because I don't know if they know any better.
But is that their desperation? That's my question to you.
Last night, I hope not.
I thought the game could have gone either way.
They played well. They played fine.
Like that's the thing. But it isn't participation league. It is a result-orientated league.
Like you said, they're just, if you want to say it was a good effort, that's fine. But they're running out of good effort and not getting anything out of it. Because there's a bunch more, and you don't make the playoffs.
And that's the concerning part if you are a fan, because you're looking at the standings. And the teams around you, they're picking up 2 points. So they've got loser points. They're out of nowhere all of a sudden. Like I say, a 6-gamer, which they had. Montreal has an 8-gamer. Other teams, Florida had a slow start. Some of these teams, Tampa had a slow start. All of a sudden, they're right there too.
Right, but the Leafs had a 6-gamer, and now they're 4-3 after that 6-gamer.
Exactly.
With a coaching change.
Yeah.
So it's, I hope these guys, these young guys who are the core players, dig out of it, because this is a big learning opportunity for them. It's now, to their testament and to their credit, the reason they won was because they played so well, right? Like from a rookie season all the way through last year, they were a playoff team and they battled, but they had some insulation there with carryover guys who were like, we don't want to go down this road, boys. Like, I've seen that road.
Yeah.
It's not fun. These guys haven't seen that road, and luckily for them, if it's happening in December, you can get yourself out of it. Well, a lot better than happening in March or April where you don't have that opportunity. But as we get closer, every game, it's starting to feel more and more like a lost season.
Let me ask you this.
And that is tough to accept.
Would you feel, and I know this is, I don't even know where you're going to be at, and I'm just spitballing it. Would you feel more comfortable if this team had Marleau, Hainsey, like some of those veteran kind of grizzled guys? Like,
it's intangible, but I
some of those
think
intangible.
I think Hainsey has been. Morgan Riley looks lost without Hainsey.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there was a turnover in the team on paper, more skill, speed, all of that, what Kyle wants to achieve. But if there's something that you're looking at with the team that may be missing, maybe that stuff behind the scenes of like, you've handed the keys to the car to the core, the young core and all of that. Are they ready for it? Were they ready for it? I know the captain's John Tavares, who's 29 years old, so he can't be lumped into that. But he's only one guy. Morgan Riley's 25 or 6. So he's kind of on the cusp. Spets is 35, 36. Like, outside of that, it's a 22 to 24.
The driving forces on this team, outside of Tavares and Riley, and I guess, Muzzin and Barry to an extent.
You're right. Muzzin and Barry. Like, I'm just, all I'm saying is that this team looks and acts differently with those players not involved. Now, I'm not suggesting that those would be the ones that put you over the top, but it just, that turnover, they're learning on the job here. And, right now it's inconsistent, and you can tell people are getting frustrated with it. Because last night they could have easily.
I'm sorry if we're going to say the youngest players in the league deserve the money, because that's when they're. I'm not buying into no learning on the job nonsense. Sorry.
You
want to be paid like the big boys, you play like the big boys, and that's just the end of it.
Well, and
we talked about at the beginning of the season the lessons and all that garbage.
No, that's supposed to be over.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean
and then everyone's going to go back to, Ovechkin, it took him till he was 34 years old. Okay, great.
Yeah, but that's a separate conversation. No one's saying panic and throw them out. Like, that would be absurd.
No, the point
stupid.
of it is figure it out and start playing good and win some games.
But take a look at, so just for...
By the way, we're not even talking about a cup. We're talking about fighting to make the playoffs right now.
Just for argument's sake, if you take a look at... Let's look at the top 4 teams in the National Hockey League right now from a points perspective. Washington, veteran team. Like, veteran, constructed differently, but mostly veteran, been there, done that. Boston, leadership core, veteran team. St. Louis, same thing, won a Stanley Cup. Islanders, Barzal, and they've got some young players there. Noah Dobson and that, but for the most part, it's more of a veteran team. not heading down that direction. I'm just saying, like, there's a learning curve regardless of the money. These guys now, they're the men. They're the guys.
Yeah,
and you got to bring it every night and have that consistency.
And that's
apparently they said it, like they think it's their time. So go ahead.
Well, they weren't alone. I mean, there was reasonable expectations, I think,
Everyone
that of course
had.
you
We
make
all
the
have
playoffs and you better start doing some damage.
For sure.
Now those expectations through 30 games have adjusted to, man, I hope they get in. Like, that's what it is. I hope they get in.
Okay, we've adjusted
And
our expectations, but that's disappointing.
It's very disappointing, but that's what they are. That's what they've shown.
Now that we're going to have this chat halfway through the season, 11 games from now, where
Absolutely.
where have they gone in 11 games?
Oh, the goalposts are allowed to change.
Yeah.
Like St. Louis was the most extreme example in the history of the sport.
Right.
This time last year, I'm sure people in St. Louis were like, trade everyone. It's brutal. They're done.
Right.
A month and a half later, oh, okay, let's see where we're going.
Right.
3 or 4 months later, they're parading in the streets.
Right.
So it's not as if this isn't a football season where you're like, okay, it's week 10 and we're done now.
Right.
There's 50 games left to play. There's
And lots of runway.
and they still
lots
have the same talent.
Exactly.
The talent is there, but are they a complete team? Do they have what it takes to grind out of the position they put themselves in?
Right.
Because St. Louis is an example of what we were talking about in terms of, elder statesmen, leadership guys.
Right.
Not that there's not leadership, but it's a different form of leadership in St. Louis. And a lot of it was Binnington, Berube. Like, let's
Right.
be honest. It wasn't just Ryan O'Reilly and Pietrangelo. It was Binnington stood on his head.
Exactly. Like, there was change there, but I'm just not. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm saying it looks different, smells different, and right now the results aren't exactly what you want. So expectation coming in, I knew right away when I did my list looking at the Atlantic, it was going to be a hell of a battle, and it's going to be a hell of a battle. There's not free points out there. But Toronto should be a team that was in the same breath as Boston, as Tampa, as Washington, as Pittsburgh, whoever else you wanted. And Winnipeg, even though there was some tempered expectations there, these top-tier teams, they haven't played to their potential of what we believe they should be. And right now, you're trying to find answers. What is the answer? What are you seeing?
Well, it better be in that room because they're not finding anything anywhere else.
There's no cap space to find anything else.
There's no space, and Dubas has committed. These are the guys he wants.
Right.
Right? So I know in the way it works here is people are going to say, start making trades and make money. That's not going to happen.
Who are you going to trade?
Well, you can trade a lot of players. You don't want to trade them.
Right.
You could trade Matthews, Marner, Nylander,
you
Riley
could-
tonight.
You could trade
Anderson. You could
Kapanen.
trade anybody.
You could trade somebody farther down in your lineup
Of
and
course.
get somebody of value, but that's not what they want to do. They're trying to keep this depth, this group together, and maximize. The team's not playing to their potential. Each guy, if you actually went down and we did a checklist, how many guys are having amazing seasons right now that you can think
Very
of?
few, if any. Like, honestly.
I think Freddie's been really good.
Freddie counts, but Freddie has built up that level of expectation.
Right. But that's outside of that,
No.
like who off the top of your head is having a career season? Last year it was Morgan Riley.
Other than Freddie
and Tavares. And Marner.
And Marner. And, you had 5 or
Janssen
6.
broke
Janssen
out.
broke to 20. You had
Yeah.
Kapanen broke to 20. Like, there were
a lot of guys.
a group that found that level and achieved even more.
I
Right
guess
now,
that
there's
just
an
sums it
under-
up. There's not enough guys playing good. Want to break it down very simple? Not enough guys playing good.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's what you got to hope for. Because if they're just not playing well enough, they can start playing better, and then they're a team.
Right.
If it's that they're not built properly,
Or they're not good enough within that.
or they don't have the drive, the grit, whatever other intangible you want to use, then you've got real problems.
Yeah.
Because then you really have to you got to do a full survey of the organization and figure out how you fix it.